Welcome to another episode of Travelpreneur, where we delve into the innovative edge of the travel industry. I'm your host, Megan McSwain. Today, we are joined by Angee Johnson, the visionary behind Taste of SLO Walking Food. Based in the charming city of San Luis Obispo in California, Angee's tours offer a unique blend of culinary delights, local culture, and history. Welcome to the show, Angee.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Thank you. Angee, what inspired you to start Taste of SLO Walking Food Tour, and how do you ensure each tour offers a unique experience to your guests?
I was inspired to start Taste of SLO when I moved to San Luis Obispo, California, about 10 years ago. I fell in love with the place. I originally had grown up in Minnesota, and moving to California was a breath of sun-filled fresh air.
Yes.
And San Luis Obispo is kind of obscure, in the state of California. Everybody knows Los Angeles and San Francisco, and San Luis Obispo is just right in between those two. And, I found that really nobody from where I lived knew what I was talking about when I was explaining SLO. And I saw through social media many other women like myself owning and operating food tour businesses in California and in other places too. And, I just believed in myself, and I thought if they could do it, I could do it too. And that's basically how Taste of SLO began. I have about 25 years in the hospitality industry. So I felt, really confident in that realm. And thus Taste of SLO was born. We're turning we're going to turn 8 years old this year.
Wow.
And as far as unique experiences, I just feel like I love to go on food tours. I love to go on tours, period, when I travel. And I feel like how you bring value to an experience is by being present and enthusiastic about it, but just the value of having someone who is capable taking care of you for 3 hours and you don't have to make any decisions. You just follow me around and I feed you, I drink you, I tell you stories, I make you laugh, I give you a little history. And I feel like it gives people a sense of possession of a place that they visited when they know these historical facts, when they meet owners, when they meet locals, and they really feel like, oh, San Luis Obispo, I know that place. Not just I visited it, but I know it.
Right. And it must have been a learning experience for you, not only for the business, but also just learning the area. I mean, it must have been helpful for you as well.
It was. It's a great excuse to go and eat,
Right.
which is fantastic. But, as humans, our brains are incredible organs in our bodies. And, most of the time we run on autopilot, which is great. It's easy. We get in routines and habits. But, when you really decide that you're going to go down the rabbit hole in something and you engage a part of your brain to learn and be present and fill it up with all sorts of things, there's really a lot of information you can fit in that hard drive. So I'm always on the lookout for new fun things about SLO, and I love it when people come on my tour who maybe were students of Cal Poly decades ago or lived in San Luis Obispo decades ago, and they tell me, oh, this used to be this, or, this was 5-cent pint night at this bar, or, I just learned such fun things that I would have never known unless somebody shared that with me. So.
And starting a business in this very niche market of food tours must come with its own challenges, besides you yourself being kind of new to the area. What hurdles did you face initially, and how did you overcome them?
Initially, I guess it was just logistics. Saying you're going to start a business and actually starting a business, there's so many things. One of the things, I guess, was ticketing. Initially, I Googled tickets. I don't know, but the ticket provider that I ended up with was something for events, like festivals and I didn't even know that there was a whole ticketing industry out there of software available. I use Peak Pro now, which is a ticket provider, but I get contacted by other ticket providers all the time.
Right.
So just, really interesting with building the infrastructure and what's available to support me out there. And then doing things like, building a website, marketing. And I took great advantage of SCORE, which is a local resource. That's a small business of America association. They're located in lots of places, but they're free classes, and it's pretty cool in an age of student loan debt to be able to go to a free class to learn about relevant tactics to build your business. Now, I would say that those are some of the, hardships that come to mind right off the top of my head.
And how does Taste of Slow Tours contribute to the local economy and support other entrepreneurs in San Luis Obispo? I would imagine that you have, these local kind of partnerships or people that you've collaborated with or restaurants that you're going to take people to. So it sort of funnels that, it's sort of like a cycle of supporting each other, I would think.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's all about, I just take people to the places, the restaurants that are the real stars of the show. And
Right.
so I consider myself and Taste of Slow a hype business. We're here to hype up business. In San Luis Obispo, there's probably, like 300 restaurants to choose from, maybe, just a guesstimate. So I'm taking the people to some of my favorites who, yes, I've developed relationships with, and they're fantastic partners. They get it. We're in and out in like 30 to 45 minutes. So they're fast, they're bringing out food and drinks and they know exactly what's happening. But I'm promoting these local businesses that these people otherwise might not have went to just because they didn't know about it. There's so many choices out there. And so it's so gratifying. A few months ago, I went to a business, or I was in a business that I tour at with my swag on. And there was a group of people that were like, "Oh, we just went on your tour a few weeks ago and found out about this place. It's our favorite to visit whenever we come to San Luis Obispo." So it's really great to support some local businesses and just hype them up. When people take my recommendations and they actually eat the food and sit in the restaurants and see how lovely it is. And then I also collaborate with some other small businesses. I just did a collaboration a few weeks ago with a local group called Women Making Waves.
This episode is brought to you by travelpayments.com. Travel businesses have unique needs when it comes to credit card processing. From large average ticket sizes and tolerance for higher chargeback ratios to simple integrations with the most popular shopping cart systems, the travel industry specialists at travelpayments.com have you covered. Unfortunately, many of the most popular credit card processors initially accept travel businesses, but without warning, freeze their merchant accounts and the thousands of dollars in them because these service providers don't understand or support the unique needs of travel industry business. Don't get stuck with one of the big guys who will freeze you out without a moment's notice. Instead, work with the travel industry specialist who will support your business every step of the way. Visit travelpayments.com to get a free quote today.
It's all about the empowerment and support of local women entrepreneurs. And we did an all female-based food tour. So every restaurant we went to was female-owned and operated. With supporting female businesses, it was supporting my female friend who has this business and collaborating with other local female business owners. So it was just like really cool to have a group of locals. It was a very different context from the tourists that usually come to town.
Right. And also, I would imagine, sorry, continue.
I was going to say, and then I also donate to 501(c)s a lot. It's a really easy donation to make, to have local people come on a food tour based off a silent auction, to raise money for local, like animal shelters, off there's all sorts of things out there to donate to. So it's very easy to give the gift of my time to generate some money for a nonprofit business.
Sure. And it must be gratifying to know that a lot of those people go back to the places that you introduce them to. So they kind of get like new following of customers or clientele.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really great, especially sometimes too, the business owners will even tell me that like, oh, some people came in and they said that they found it on Angee's tour. And so yeah, and it helps keep them in business, Being a restaurateur is a hard business. So I do everything I can to support my favorites.
And in what ways have you tailored your business model to cater to like the various needs of maybe some bigger groups, if at all? I would imagine that with larger groups, there's more demands or requests.
Yeah, I actually just had my largest group in November. It was a middle school for a field trip. I thought was great. I really loved that the kids were coming, and it was because one of the faculty at the school had came on my tour on a bachelorette party, and when they were brainstorming field trip ideas, she pitched it as a field trip, and they contacted me. And of course, middle schoolers have a different set of needs than adults. And so we custom built them a tour that was a little bit more kid friendly and also came up with an appropriate price point that, made sense because, it's a school, so their budget parameters are different. And I had the most fantastic day with those kids and all their chaperones too. I think that the chaperones really had a great food tour day too. And then the little sweeties wrote me thank you cards.
Aw, that's so sweet.
It was the sweetest. It made me feel so happy. They were such nice kids. So,
Oh, what a great idea for middle schoolers, because you think food tours, you think of adults for some reason all the time. But I mean, the foodies are starting younger and younger these days.
Yeah. And, we had like ahi fish tacos at a place, which isn't necessarily something that seventh graders eat all the time.
Right. Or might even be familiar with.
Right. And it's kind of interesting that how when the kids are together like that, they were really sweet to each other. They were hyping each other up. They're like, oh yeah, try it. It's really good. You'll love it. And, they were all brave. And some of them were like, oh, I actually don't like this, but they tried it. And so, yeah, it was a great day.
Looking forward, what new developments or expansions are you planning for Taste of SLO? I feel like you could have a whole kid division.
The ideas that live in my head are really never ending, but I guess kind of what actually is practical and gets instituted is totally different. I kind of have this philosophy right now that I'm very happy where I'm at. I sometimes jokingly say there's a lot of highly motivated people frozen on the Himalayan mountains. So, I don't feel like you always have to be, trying to do more. That sometimes it's okay to sit where you're at and be like, I'm comfortable. I only do the tours on the weekends. I also have a real job, quote unquote, and this is my side hustle.
What's your real job, if you don't mind sharing?
I work at a restaurant.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I work at a beautiful French bistro in Avila Beach, California, right on the ocean. It's fantastic. And I'm a server. So I practice my skill sets with people every day. And I also get to tell a lot of people my business. So it's a win-win.
Yeah, sounds great.
But, by only doing the tours on the weekends for 8 years, I still love it. I'm fresh. I'm ready to go. There's never any burnout. And so I think about doing things. I've actually been thinking about doing a digital download PDF of a guide of things to do for San Luis Obispo for people perhaps who don't have the time, or maybe you're on a budget, but just outlining some of my favorite things to eat and do in the Central Coast, and just to have a guide out there. So that's kind of something practically that I think I will implement. I also think about adding different tours sometimes for returning guests. I have 2 tours right now. I had 3 at one time. I got rid of one, and now it's just the 2. And I do occasionally change the places that we visit, but changing is so hard because I develop such great relationships. And it's always hard to say goodbye because it's not necessarily a goodbye. It's just a changing things for maybe the season or, just changing things up. And in 8 years, I've worked with over 50 different businesses in the local area. And so it's kind of maintaining a balance between giving everyone a fair shot and also holding sacred the relationships that I've built.
Sure.
So definitely a balancing act.
For someone who might be interested in starting their own food tour company, what advice would you offer based on your own experiences?
Well, I would say go for it. Do it. It's fantastic. I love having my side hustle and a little extra business, and I am an extrovert. So I love the energy that hanging around with people gives me. It's just so cool to meet people. But I would say, organization. Oh my gosh, you have to be so organized. I'm really organized. And sometimes I'm just like, you dropping the ball, forgot, you have to really be looking ahead into the future all the time, planning. So, but I think that, I'm one of those really optimistic people. I'm just like, if you set your mind to it, you can do it. So yeah, a food tour, if there's not one in your area, make one.
Maybe I will. Houston is such a big food city, so if there aren't any, there should be. How do you?
You should go on.
Yeah, I should. The only problem with Houston is that it's so spread out. So we don't have like walking tours, and the weather can be unpredictable too. So walking tours don't sound appealing to most people unless you're
I
going
get
to
that.
one area.
Yeah, you're like, do you have a golf cart?
Yeah, exactly. Or an air conditioned vehicle, it can get hot and it's just spread out. So it's hard logistically. But Houston is such a food city. So anything food related is a big sell here.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, I hope that I can visit Houston in the future and delve into it.
Yeah, for sure. How do you keep the tours? You mentioned return customers, people who've
Mhm.
maybe already done your tour once and maybe want to see something different. How do you keep those tours like fresh? And you have a certain number of restaurants, a certain number of places that you're showing people around that area. How do you sort of appeal to return customers? I know you're probably working on that and trying to.
You know, when I started the business, I really didn't think that I'd have a bunch of return customers. I thought it would be kind of like a one and done. That really wasn't part of my thinking. And I am honestly surprised at how many people come back. But I'm thinking of this one family in particular, Donald. I don't even know his name. They come on my tour every year. Every year. Him and his
Oh,
daughter
are
go
they
on my
local?
tour.
Or are they visiting like tourists?
Oh, they're visiting. Yeah, like my demographic is most of the people who come on my tour are Californians. I would say probably about 80%. But then you do get other states and other countries as well. But it just seems like people like to travel in California, especially from LA, the Bay, and the Valley. They like to get away from the weather and the traffic and come here to the coast where the temperature is
Sure.
always 75 and sunny.
Right.
Doesn't matter if it's December or June, it's what it is.
Yeah.
Uh, and so, yeah, the amount of people that come on my tour again and again is wild. And so they usually get different tours to a certain extent just because the tours do change. But if I do know that they are repeat customers and have maybe been on a tour several times, I will maybe try to change up what we eat and what we do just to give them something different. I do have some restaurants that are my backup restaurants, if you will. But you always have to have a plan B.
Sure. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's also the secondary restaurant. So I have a lot of flexibility to try to give the best experience to anybody who comes on the tour.
Cool. Well, they sound like a lot of fun. And I mean, I can't imagine it not being in a coastal town. I mean, I just feel like just being outside and walking with like-minded people who are interested in trying out new restaurants and food just sounds like a blast to me. And I'm sure it is to a lot of foodies.
Yeah, it's pretty great. As a side effect of being a food tour owner, I go on so many food tours when I travel. And I've been on about 30 different food tours and I think like 9 different
Wow.
countries.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's one of my favorite ways to learn about a place because food is
Mhm.
culture.
Totally.
The breaking of bread, the
Yeah.
host and, welcoming people in. And I learn so much when I go on a food tour.
Yeah.
Just the most random things. And I meet such interesting people. So, and then when you're on foot in a city that has appropriate temperature,
Yeah.
you see, you really see
Yeah.
where you're at from a different
Right.
perspective.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you so much, Angie, for sharing, part of your journey with us and sharing what you do. Let our listeners know where they can check out Taste of SLO and how they can experience it themselves.
Yeah. So my website is kind of a mouthful. It's tasteofslowwalkingfoodtour.com. Taste of SLO for San Luis Obispo. So you can find me on my website. If you just Google Taste of SLO, you'll find it pretty easily on the internet too. My Facebook and my Instagram are both Taste of SLO. Pretty easy to find. And yeah, you can book tickets right on my website. If you have questions, you can reach out to me there as well.
Great. Well, thank you so much. To our listeners, be sure to check out Taste of SLO to experience the best of San Luis Obispo through its flavors. I know I definitely will. I've never been there. And if I come to town, I'm definitely going to check out your food tours. I'm all about that.
I would love to see you.
Everyone, please, don't forget to follow and subscribe to Travelpreneur for more inspiring stories and innovative ideas from the travel industry. Thank you so much, Angie. We look forward to speaking with you again soon. And until next time, keep exploring.
Thank you, Mega.